whenever you have results people don't like, they find reasons to attack you and dislike you. And whenever you come up with results that that they do like, they tell you how great you are. It's a little bit like being an umpire in a baseball game,
or like being a talk show host. Your main competitor, Gallup, also just published a similar result. You were first, but he says approval dips to new low.
Yep. The trends that they're showing are the same thing, and the dip has come since that jobs report came out, the most recent dip. So yes, we see the same sorts of trends. There's also state polling out in Ohio that shows the president's approval dropping there, and the president is below 50% approval in Virginia, as you recall, key state he won last year.
Well, looking within your own polling, Scott, I have to ask you, can you break it down by subject and do polls on the subject? For example, cap and trade. Most Americans don't know what it is, but they know that it's taxing. It's going to put businesses in a bind. Do they know that yet? Have they figured that out?
The answer is probably not for most people. We did a poll. We asked them what cap and trade was. Only 24% knew environmental issue. The rest thought it was some kind of either Wall Street regulation.
A new hat. Perhaps they thought it was a new hat bill or something.
And part of the reason for that is because it just never got the exposure that some other issues did. When we talk about right after the climate change bill that was passed by the House a week or so ago, and we didn't use the phrase cap and trade, we just asked about that legislation, and then we probed about it. What you find is the American people are evenly divided on that issue. 42% of them say it's likely to be bad for the economy. And I can tell you that when people forget the specifics of an issue, people's gut instinct is that higher taxes are bad for the economy and higher government spending is bad for the economy. Right now, when we talk about these bigger issues or these conceptual issues, there's huge opposition to the idea of a second stimulus package.
Yeah, I want to ask you why. Why are the people opposed to that? What did they figure out?
They figure out that it's spending. Because at the same time that we're hearing that, there's a majority support across the board tax cut for all Americans. These are basic instincts. Now, when you look at the first stimulus package, only 31% of Americans think it's helped. So there is again, a little bit of we've seen this, we've tried it, we've heard about it, we don't see an impact, let's not spend more money on it.
What about socialized medicine, or as they say, or whatever they're calling it, Obamacare? Have you polled on that?
Oh, we have done countless polls on the topic of health care over time. And right now, if you ask about the proposal that Obama and the Democrats are working on, you get 50% who say they like the idea, 45% who don't. Those with strong opinions are more likely to be opposed. The underlying issue, and this is something that amazes me, is not more a part of the debate. Most Americans believe our health care system can be improved. Only about a third say that it's good or excellent. However, people that are insured overwhelmingly say their own coverage is good or excellent. And so that creates a situation where when you say the phrase health care reform, people like the idea. They like the idea of doing things to fix the system. They like the idea of expanding coverage to those who should have it, but for some reason don't. But if you tell somebody that under a new plan they're going to have to give up their own current insurance coverage, support falls dramatically. The reason for that, people, whatever frustrations they have, they know how to work the system with their current coverage.
Yes.
And Americans overwhelmingly believe that no matter how bad something is, Congress could always make it worse.
Well, that's interesting. There's another area that I'm interested in. If you got another second here, we talked about polling on general approval, economy, health care, cap and trade, the environment. What other big issue have you polled that is worth mentioning right now, Mr. Rasmussen?
Well, we poll all the time on the international issues that are out there, and one of the things that I think is most surprising to people who are wrapped up in this is that despite the president's overtures, people see very little. They have virtually no expectation of change over the coming year in terms of our relations with the Palestinian nations, with the Muslim nations. There is also a growing concern about the way the president is dealing with the nation of Israel. And
yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you on that issue alone. Has America moved away from supporting Israel?
The individuals in America have not. If we asked a question a little while ago, if Israel attacked Iran, what should the U.S. response be? About half the nation said we should help Israel. About 40% said we shouldn't do anything, and hardly anybody said we should really try to deter them or help Iran.
Interesting, fascinating. Well, I love true statistics. I love them very much because I know numbers can lie, and I know they can also tell a little bit of the truth, and I really appreciate someone who knows the difference. And Scott Rasmussen, I hope you come back on the Savage Nation on a regular basis.
Well, I look forward to it, and happy to be part of the show anytime.
Particularly if you continue to bring us bad news about Obama.
Well, I will bring you the news. Whether it's good or bad is up to the world out there.
I understand. Thank you very much for being with us. It is 11 minutes to the hour. I'll be right back.
Savage in the morning, Armstrong and Getty at night. Roger Hedgecock on the drive home? No problem. Personalize your radio. 910KNEW.com podcast.
I found him to be tough, smart, very unsentimental. I think he's a practical person. And to the extent that there are common interests like fighting terrorism, potentially nuclear proliferation, where he believes that working with the United States advances Russian goals, I think he can be a potential partner.
When he believes, meaning Putin, that the U.S. will advance Russian goals, he, meaning Putin, can potentially be a partner. Now, what is that saying about our leader? He's saying that when the man he is meeting agrees that he can manipulate him, he'll be his partner. You hear this? See, this is what I mean by electing a college president, a professor to a presidency. He doesn't know the first thing about business. Businessman doesn't say to you, hey, if this guy thinks that he can make money with me or get an advantage over me, he'll be a good partner. Businessman says, well, both got to win here. He didn't say that, did he? That's because Obama has never created a business, run a business, met a payroll, doesn't know the first thing about what it means to be taxed, doesn't know what it means to go around government regulations to try to make a buck. You have a college teacher who never did anything except by his own admission 2 months ago, he said, actually a month ago, he jokingly said, well, I don't really do anything but move paper around. So that's what we have now, a paper pusher for president. Well, I think I've made my point thus far today. I'll let you think about it, let these thoughts percolate within your brain tonight. Right now, I'd like to point you to another very important article that I didn't get to today that I'll try to elaborate on tomorrow, assuming there is a tomorrow. J'accuse England, J'accuse America by Professor Ellis Washington, where he suspects a collusion between two nations to ban Savage. And he says, on January 13th, 1898, the celebrated French writer and intellectual Émile Zola risked his career and endangered his life when his letter J'accuse was published on the front page of the Paris daily L'Aurore. This famous letter was a scathing indictment against the French government for unjustly in condemning a war hero, Captain Alfred Dreyfus, to Devil's Island and covering up evidence of his innocence. This letter has stood through the ages as a singular expression of indignation and accusation against powerful persons, organizations, and nations. Now, 100 years later, the Dreyfus affair has now crossed the English Channel in the case of Michael Savage. It's astonishing, you must read this, to understand the historical context of Michael Savage being banned in England. He has his own theories, and I will not bore you with my interpretation of his suspicions. But the fact of the matter is, Michael Savage is now banned from the UK. My name has been put next to murderers, and I am simply a talk show host who has never done evil. I've only done good. Only done good. Only done good. I have helped the environment. I have helped animals. I have helped people. And yet they had the nerve to put me in with mass murderers.
Savage. Michael Savage. Afternoons 3 to 7 on Talk 910 KNEW and online at 910KNEW.com.
Here's some of the big articles that we talked about today in the Savage Nation. Obama's polls have taken a monster dive. Rasmussen poll, certainly not a conservative, not a liberal. He's a pollster. He's documented the decline of Obama, covered up by the media. The people themselves in this country are not that stupid. No matter what the media does, the people still know what's going on. And I believe that he's in for the largest relative fall in the history of the presidency once the people truly understand what this man is and what he's doing. Remember, Obama was the most leftist senator in history. Do you think he has changed his stripes now that he's president? He's moved even further to the left than he was as a senator. That leads us to the second topic.